This is Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
You're listening to the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. So as of right now, I haven't even edited and posted the last podcast that we did.
Well, good going.
So the last one will air probably tomorrow if I get lucky and have the time to edit it. And it's going to be talking about a Kickstarter, which is now fully finished and funded.
I'd say throw it out, but...
No, there was a lot of good info on there about eBay being a price guide, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't even really talk about Darkslinger so much in the last podcast. We talked about my other job.
Yeah, we talked about Kickstarter and then your other job.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway,
but
good news.
We kind of did touch on
the Kickstarter has ended,
Darkslinger.
and it ended successfully.
I saw that. Because I'd check it out to see how you were doing.
Right. So far, only 2 of the pledges have not gone through. Everything else has been completed. So that's awesome, because that's always one of the fears, like how many pledges are not actually going to complete once you have fully done it.
Well, you were a little over, weren't you?
A little bit, yeah.
Not enough to cover those people, though.
They have a full week before they drop the pledges, so they'll keep trying to run their cards and send messages to tell them to, fix their bank account. And then if they don't after a week, it drops the pledge. And if it drops the pledges, both of them, it would take it down to pretty much exactly what our goal was. So,
what would happen if it was under?
Well, you still get the money, and it's still seen as a successful Kickstarter. But that's actually kind of an interesting thing that we should interview some people about at some point. A good friend of mine who's done 3 successful Kickstarters, that might clue you in as to who I'm talking about. On his last project, he had $700 worth of funding.
Holy shit.
Drop after it was successful. And it actually took him to well below what the goal amount actually was. But at that point, it's just kind of seen as almost like the creator's problem more than his Kickstarters,
Yeah, that's weird. That would suck. I mean, because you got to cover a lot.
Right.
Like, if you have to cover $700.
Yeah, 700's a ton to cover. So, yeah. I think on Who Will Save the World, 125 failed by the end of it and did not complete. But see, the Kickstarter's not actually updated to reflect that. So whatever was pledged is what showed, right? So if you look at it, that 120 looks like it was there, but it actually wasn't. That's not what I ended up getting. With Ghost Assassin, I got really lucky, and every single pledge went through. With the smaller Kickstarters for Elbow Vine Morte, the Chronicles of Van Helsing, Glass, the first Ghost Assassin project and the Chronicles that I did back when I didn't even really know how Kickstarter worked, and no one did yet. Those all had 100% funding success. But the funny thing is that one of the people whose pledges has been denied thus far is related to you, and it was only for $2. So one of the 2 was for $2, and it's not going through at the moment.
That's weird that it wouldn't go through. Maybe you put in a different card that, like, you already had one saved.
It's not a he.
Oh, okay.
You get what I'm talking about now?
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. I texted yesterday. I was like, hey, put in a different card or give $2 to your wife so it goes through.
That's funny.
I never heard a response. So
did it go yet?
I haven't checked today. I checked last night after it ended to see what all completed already.
Mine went through, I'm pretty sure.
Yours did.
Yeah.
Yours went through. It was only the 2 people, and one of them I just thought it was hilarious because it was somebody that I knew on a very personal level.
Yeah.
And I'm like, $2? Come over here and I'll give you the $2 to put in your account.
Was the other one for a significant amount?
No, it was, I define significant. It was for the t-shirt tier. So it was $63 after the shipping was added in.
Oh, it was the same as mine then.
Yeah, it was the same as yours. So, in any case, it definitely was not enough that it'll keep the project from moving forward or anything of that nature, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that was the gist of it. Because also I didn't know.
So,
if they like dropped it because, in the end you didn't get to that exact place that they wanted that you said you would be at or not?
No, you still get the money. The funds still transfer over to you.
You just have to cover.
Yeah, you have to cover out of your own
there.
pocket whatever's not there. But in this instance, it's no problem because we hit... Even if these two don't end up going through by Friday of next week or Saturday of next week, it won't fully matter because we already hit the funding goal that we needed. This was actually overage at that point. And this is not going to be the end of this campaign. This campaign is going to continue until the project's actually complete. Because on probably either this Monday or Tuesday, I'm actually going to set up an Indiegogo on demand for it.
Yep, my money has been taken out.
Yep, I already knew that. So, Indiegogo on demand is going to get started hopefully by Tuesday. I've never set one up before, but it doesn't look
How hard could it be?
It shouldn't be too hard. I think that it pretty much just grabs all the info from Kickstarter and exports it. So,
nice.
Do you understand what an Indiegogo on demand is?
Yeah, we talked about it last time.
Okay.
How people can still get the stuff.
Yeah. So there's still some original art that's up for grabs. The t-shirt was not Kickstarter exclusive, and people really liked that image. So I know a lot of the people were just like, we'd like to back, but we can't because it's almost Christmas time. So it'd give people an opportunity to be able to purchase the stuff in January, February, March, whenever they need to, and give us a chance to keep making more money off this project until it's all ready to go.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Can you also just put it up on your own site?
Yeah, I could. But there's just something about putting it on a crowdfunding specifically site that gets more traffic than it's going to by just putting it up on your own.
Maybe it's because of the look of what it is. Like,
maybe.
Oh, hey, helping this thing out.
Right. Totally could be. But whatever the case, if I can keep making money off Indiegogo, why not?
Yeah.
And I also really want to invest more time in getting to know Indiegogo because that's probably where the Chronicles of Van Helsing hardcover is going to be placed.
That one will be cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Another glass would be cool, too.
Yes, I also want to do that. That's coming, too.
Which one would come first?
Possibly the glass because it's only going to cost a couple $100 to produce a new one of those, and we already have an image in mind for that.
Yeah, that and the shot glasses, they were pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't cost very much to do, and they're pretty easy to design.
Wonder if that person still works at that
I was
shop.
wondering that too.
That New Year's shit. That was pretty cool. That was wild.
Yeah. If no one knows what Robert's talking about, I got a message from the person who was printing up the Chronicles of Van Helsing glasses to let me know they were a fan of the series the day that the glasses had went out. So yeah, that was pretty awesome.
That's such a crazy coincidence.
I know, right?
What would the next image be?
The next image is actually going to be of Robert. It's the image that is used on the back cover of Chronicles of Van Helsing #1. It's a really gnarly looking Robert that Tony did, where he's holding the gun. It's kind of like, the gun looks like a flintlock, but it kind of almost looks like a Hellboy gun to me in a way too. And Robert's sitting there and he's snarling. He almost looks like a vampire in the image, honestly. But it's a pretty kick-ass image of Robert, and I think it would work well on glasses. And Tony had already done a version of it that was line work only. So I showed it to him.
So you know it'll work.
Yeah, I know it'll work. I showed it to him and asked him what he thought, and he thought it looked pretty cool on there. So
I guess as long as it doesn't wrap too far around, because that can distort it.
It won't. The amount of space that it takes up will be pretty much the exact amount that the Chronicles school took up.
I really like that glass.
Oh, so do I.
It looks really cool.
And speaking of that glass, we're going to need to go back to print on that when we do the second glass. So that's part of what's kept me a little bit behind on it, because I really like the idea of being able to offer both of them as a set together,
Yeah.
And I've only got 9 left of that printing. So I'm almost out of that glass.
Well, it was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought that it seems to sell well.
Yeah.
At the cons.
Especially libraries for some reason.
People, I don't know. I think it's because of what it is.
Yeah.
People like it.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, cool. It's got a cool image on it. I can pour my drink in there, and then people are going to see it as as I drink, or I'll see it.
Right.
Like you open up the cupboard, hey, which glass do I want to use? Oh, I want to use the cool one.
Yeah.
I had a picture on my phone. I don't know where it went. I took a picture of the glass because it looked cool.
Uh-huh.
I was drinking some sort of red colored drink.
You know how many people have done that now?
Yeah,
it's funny.
It looks cool.
I've been tagged in a few of those on
some
Instagram.
sort of juice.
You get some V8, put it in there.
Mine, I think, was probably like some sort of...
The night Jess and Hippie got it, they poured some sort of red that I can pretty much guarantee was alcohol.
I didn't think about it.
In there, and then put a black light behind it, and it looked really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so got that going on, and then Mini Slinger started the Christmas Carol story this week.
Yeah, you showed me that photo of it that you're going to use for the...
That's going to be the cover. It already is because I already posted it. But it's the cover, and then it's going to double as a Christmas card that we're going to be giving out this year.
Yeah, that's cool.
I normally don't repeat the same thing twice. Like, one year I did a Chronicles of Van Helsing Christmas card, and the next year was Ghost Assassin. And, like the year before that, it had been a montage of all of the different characters. So it was like, Robert and the Pauper and David all having Christmas over at Melissa's house, And I don't really like to repeat the same set of characters again. I like to use a big variety year after year. And I do have a Principalities card that's ready to go as well that Melissa Spandry is illustrated. But the Principalities didn't make its way out this year. So I think it makes more sense to put something out that's actually related to what we're doing currently,
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw this, we had done a Mini Slingers Christmas card last year, which was also the cover for the Christmas story last year. But when I saw this, I was just like, it's got to be the Christmas card. You got to do it.
Yeah, and it's a funny little way to do it.
Uh-huh.
A little homage. Because, they see ghosts. So
Right.
It works.
Yeah, that's why it had to be David. Yeah. Scrooge in it.
Who is he going to see as ghosts?
Well, Todd is going to be Jacob Marley, which is kind of obvious, right?
Yeah.
And then Lay Mime is Bob Cratchit. And Melissa is Belle. Ghost of Christmas Past is Robert. Ghost of Christmas Present. God, who do we make the Ghost of Christmas Present? I have to get back to you on that one.
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah, that one will be a surprise because it's a surprise to me at the moment. I'm not thinking straight. Ghost of Christmas Future is going to be Inspiratu.
Inspire you to be a better man.
He's the one that has the cloak over his head and, looks like death. I thought Inspiratu would work well for that. And we haven't really used him all that much in Mini Slingers yet. I think we've used him on 4 pages in total. The last page that he showed up on is when all the kids were going into the haunted house. And Inspiratu was walking Melissa in and told David that he was inspired to be her chaperone for the evening. And David got really mad and told him, no, you're not. And looking at him like he's going to bust his face,
He's so inspiring.
I know. And it's my goal to have him use that word in ways that it shouldn't be used as much as possible.
Inspire?
Yeah. Some form of inspire, Throwing it in all kinds of places that don't work. That's got to be a thing for both the regular Inspiratu and the actual Inspiratu webcomic and the Mini Slingers version of Inspiratu.
Like he inspired me to eat a sandwich?
Yeah, but more like use inspire instead of good or things that it's not actually a synonym for.
Mm.
Just kind of take the word and run with it as much as possible and oversay it to an annoying point. But misuse it, much like the text that I got right before you showed up.
Because someone misused inspire?
No. So, usually I think of Kate, former editor of Darkslinger Comics, as having a fairly good vocabulary. She sent me a message saying, what the fuck? They're remaking FFIIV? And I said, what the fuck is FFIIV? Final Fantasy VII. Like, oh, I don't care. I don't like Final Fantasy. It doesn't matter if you liked it or not. Final Fantasy VII was the penultimate game. And I said, nope, it wasn't. What are you talking about? It was so great. I'm like, you're not using that word correctly. You know what penultimate means, don't you?
I would think that... I wonder if they're doing a full-on reboot or if they're just, like, gonna give it a fresh look. Because I've never played Final Fantasy, but, you know, I've heard that one referenced a lot because people
sent me screenshots, and, you know, the original one, it was a PlayStation 1 game and a computer game, I think. And it was...
put it to computer.
I think they had it on computer. It was, you know, early graphics type of, you know...
Yeah.
And it looked like they were redoing it with today's ability to make the characters actually look like painted characters instead of, you know, weird glob things.
Yeah, they redid Crash Bandicoot
and
series.
Spyro.
Yeah, and it looks really good. And
yeah.
I read this thing that for the, I don't know, I think it was like the devs or something, the people that had been redoing it, that whole section of people, they gave them the game on disc, and they put it in the old packaging, like square disc packaging for them, and like the artwork was, I think it was the same as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome.
That is.
Yeah, why not?
I love Crash Bandicoot. Those are great games.
I was just looking at it the other day, thinking, oh, maybe I'll buy this. It's on sale. It's like $20 for all three of them.
$20 would be a good deal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, used the original PlayStation 1 games go for like 15 to 20 a pop.
Well, this is the updated version.
Yeah, so it's a good deal, though, because my point is if you had to go out and buy the original 3, you'd be looking at like $60 between the 3. Yeah, so that's actually a pretty good deal to be able to get them all 3 for $20.
That was a good game.
Those are great games. Every time I've had them to sell, I play through it before I sell them.
Because they're so fun.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is Kate doesn't know what penultimate means, apparently. That surprised me. It's one thing to not know what the word means. It's another to use it in a text to someone that you know will know what it means.
Maybe she should have looked it up.
Maybe. You know what that word means, don't you?
Penultimate. I don't know for sure. I would say, like, the final... Something having to do with it being final one.
Okay, you're really close. Penultimate means the chapter before the final chapter.
Oh, okay.
So, like, Harry Potter 6 in books is the penultimate chapter. But Harry Potter 7 in the movies is the penultimate chapter, you know? It's the thing that happens right before the end.
Oh,
you know?
Okay.
So,
pen having to do with some sort of pre.
So, the fact that Kate would say Final Fantasy VII was the penultimate game was like, no, that's not correct in any fashion. I know that they made Final Fantasy to up to number 12 at least. So.
I thought they were at like 15 or 16.
They probably are.
It's weird sometimes when you break down words and you look at like what each piece of it means and how they strung it together and how they got these other words out of that particular word.
Or how it changed meaning because people kept using it incorrectly.
Like I had never...
Like how terrific actually comes from terrible.
That's what I was about to say. I'd never thought about that until a friend of mine pointed it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? You make a very good point. I'd never thought about that when you take that first part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time you're using terrific correctly is when you say it sarcastically. When you're like, that's terrific, but you don't actually mean it. It's like somebody calls you up, your aunt just died in a car accident. Oh, terrific. You obviously don't mean that it's great, you know?
I wonder what the etymology behind that is.
It's actually pretty much just what I just said.
Huh.
People used it sarcastically so frequently, but kind of in the opposite direction. It worked its way into the common vernacular.
Well, that's terrific.
So anyway, the Mini Slingers Christmas Carol, back to that, should be running through pretty much the entire month of December. I posted the first page on Black Friday, which was a cover, and I'm going to start posting page number 1 tomorrow. And Pat, because he's crazy fast, is already up to page 10, I think, fully finished.
How many pages is it going to be?
It's going to be like 25 pages in total.
Jesus, you must be releasing them fairly often, then.
We're going to release them every single day leading up to Christmas.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's going to be a lot of work, though, because it actually takes quite a bit to code the website in order to post things.
So you're going to be spending a lot of time.
I'm going to be spending like an hour every day posting this.
Still, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
Yeah, and there won't be a El Bovine Muerte Christmas page this year. Because we're putting so much focus on this that I just kind of want to run EBM in its normal story. And I've done a lot of holiday pinups with it, so I don't really think it matters if I do a holiday pinup for it this year. Just kind of skip that for 1 year. But Inspiratu is going to get 2 holiday pinups coming up, hopefully, if Levon does his job correctly.
You're going to inspire these kids to be good.
We're doing a Christmas-themed one. And I came up with an idea for New Year's that I thought was really good, that I wanted to see him do.
Something about inspiring people to...
Inspiring you to be disgusted. So...
Oh, I don't know where that's going.
So I just have this image in my head. He can't be seen from the waist down, obviously. But this image in my head of Inspiratu jumping out of a cake with a 2020 banner on... While everybody at this New Year's Eve party is very, very disturbed and bothered by the fact that Inspiratu is jumping out of a cake naked.
Well, okay.
It came into my head. I thought it was funny. I told Levon to draw it and see if it actually turns out funny.
I wouldn't have thought about that. Okay.
I don't know what made it come into my head, but
something just inspired you.
It inspired me. So I couldn't let it go. Thought it was too good.
All right. 1 year you should do one of those pictures where you see they've collected a whole, like, all the characters into one giant photo.
Mm-hmm.
You should do one of those with all your characters.
You mean like a jam photo?
Sure.
Yeah. For Christmas? For what?
Oh, no. I thought like New Year's. All together at New Year's or something.
Okay. We did do a New Year's pinup for Mini Slingers last year. Besides that, I've never actually done a New Year's pinup. Let's see, we've done Thanksgiving.
A really big pinup.
Thanksgiving where Lay Mime was a turkey. We've done Valentine's Day where Lay Mime was an archer. We've done the Mother's Day pinup in Mini Slingers where little Lay Mime is blaming the drawing on the wall that says Lay Mime was here on Muerte, who has crayons taped to her hands. That's one of my favorite holiday images we've done. We've done a Christmas EBM, a few Christmas EBMs. We've done a few Halloween EBMs. The one that's my favorite of those is where Gabriel has drawn Lay Mime, Bethany, and Muerte trick-or-treating in someone's house, and Lay Mime is dressed as Robert Van Helsing, and Bethany and Muerte are David and Todd from Ghost Assassin.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. And this year's Halloween image for EBM was Bob the Brain standing in this ooze, and I really like something about it because the brain portion of him is dressed as a pumpkin, but him standing in the ooze and everything just kind of reminds me of old retro Ninja Turtle stuff. So I like that one a lot, just based off the fact that to me it looked like
a little nostalgic.
Yeah, it looked a little nostalgic to me. It hit something from like back when I was a kid and I belonged to the Ninja Turtles fan club, which yes I did. So
card carrying member.
I was. Actually, I had one in my wallet.
Only you still had it.
I wish I did. I do still have my bandana from it somewhere, though.
Seems like something that someone would buy.
It was like my earliest do-rag that I ever had. But, you know, you couldn't wear it like that. You had to actually wear it as a rolled-up bandana.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. This is Ninja Turtles.
Duh.
What I wish I still had from that, though, was they... every single month they sent you these fan club zines that went over like these are the new Ninja Turtle products coming out this month. Oh, this is stuff about the movie coming out. This is stuff about the cartoon coming out. Right? I had like every one of those when I was a kid. Those would be worth quite a bit of money today.
If only.
I know. I have no idea what happened to them. Lost to time.
Got to keep some shit from your kid's childhood.
Yeah, not me. I sell it.
Selling it too early, man.
I know. But if they're like, hey, we don't want this anymore, it gets sold. So we took a little break and completely lost our train of thought. I think we were talking about holiday pinups.
Could have been. We did talk about it.
Let's see. We were talking about the Kickstarter successfully funding. How I'm going to start a Indiegogo on demand. Then we were talking about the Mini Slingers Christmas Carol story and the holiday pinups that I've done for Elbow Vine Muerte, Mini Slingers, and Inspiratu pinups that are coming.
We discussed the etymology of words.
Yes, because Kate doesn't know how to use the word penultimate.
That covers pretty much everything.
That covers pretty much everything. So I'm not sure exactly where we were when we took a short break there.
Yeah.
Because the dog's barking, and I'm sure I won't be able to edit out every single bark that Lucy just made.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Happens in Kevin Smith's podcast all the time, right?
Yeah.
You know, we reference Kevin Smith's podcast to an odd degree in this podcast.
Well, I mean, I used to listen to him a lot. I haven't
I
listened
did
to
too.
him much anymore.
I think we do that just because he's a really famous podcaster, and we've actually both listened to a shit ton of the things he's done.
Yeah, I started listening to Joe Rogan's as well because my friend got
Joe
me
Rogan's actually pretty good.
To his, and I was like, holy shit, yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was trying to listen to his one with it was a newer one with RZA, but he had another guy on with him doing that one, and this other guy's just so excited and keeps talking and barely gives RZA a chance. Like, I got to listen to it in pieces because I just want this guy to shut up because I want to hear what RZA has to say.
Speaking of Wu-Tang Clan, have you seen that god-awful Audible commercial for the audiobook by the baddest bitch in the room?
No, I didn't know about that.
So, nowhere in this commercial does a woman mention the fact that she was a producer for the Wu-Tang Clan, and that's why she's, as famous as she is and everything. But she's all talking about how she's 65 or whatever the fuck, and she goes to the gym this many times a week, and she's the baddest bitch in the room, and she's standing there in like this black corset thing. She's unfortunate looking is the way I would describe her. And she does this really, really bad karate kick. Like, you know how when you're a kid and you have that friend who's morbidly obese and yet they think they're a ninja, and they try to throw a kick and it looks like they're going to fall down when they do it,
Yeah.
That's the type of karate kick that it looks like she's doing to me. So when I first saw it, I was like, this has to be a parody of something, but I know this woman's name. So I looked it up and found out that she was a producer for the Wu-Tang Clan. It's just god-awful, though. I almost want to get the audiobook just to see if it's as god-awful as that commercial is. But at the same time, I refuse to spend money on things that end up being god-awful. So
You can get a free trial.
That's true, I could.
If you go through Amazon instead of going to Audible, they're owned by Amazon owns them.
Right.
But if you go to Audible, they give you one free book.
Oh, okay.
If you go to Amazon, they'll give you 2 free books.
Oh, all right. And then they occasionally have things on there that are free too, right?
There might randomly be some free stuff. I know they make their own content,
Uh-huh.
and you can get every month you get 2 of these free.
I know for a
Audible-made
while
content.
they were doing a free giveaway of Lock and Key, the Audible version.
Oh, my friend got one of their freebies every month. That was for Alien, and he said that was really good.
Yeah.
I didn't grab that one.
I tried listening to the Lock and Key one, and they had some actually pretty big names in it. Plus, Joe Hill and Stephen King also did voices in it, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
But I couldn't get into it because I had already read the comic. And I thought, that's really cool to do an audiobook of a comic, But at the same time, it wasn't as good listening to 4 hours of that as it was just reading the comic. So I ended up giving up after about an hour.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Some things can be like that. It's hard to go to the book after you've already seen or read something else. Yeah,
and it was too much like an audiobook to me, too. If you're going to do a comic, I prefer that it be more of an audio drama,
Yeah, there's definitely a difference.
Yeah. Like all the stuff that I am going to do with Ghost Assassin Noir and Chronicles of Van Helsing are very much going to be audio dramas, not audio books,
I like some of those. I haven't listened to a whole lot of things like that, but sometimes you get a really good voice actor who can do, like, he carries through the whole book doing everything himself, and he's really good. I liked the guy, I can't remember his name at the moment, that was the narrator for the Mistborn series, who also does other books for Brandon Sanderson. I think he's really great. That one, and whoever did the voice for Joe Abercrombie's, no, that might be like the King Killer Chronicles or something like that. I might get that mixed up with a different one. But some voice actors can just carry the whole book.
Did you ever listen to the voice or the audiobook for World War Z?
No.
That was a really good audiobook. Alan and I listened to the whole thing on our way back from Idaho.
Maybe I should get that one.
It's good because the voice actors in there, like Mark Hamill and Alan Alda does a voice in it. And it's got a lot of voices that are going to be recognizable to you already.
And they're people that do good voice acting.
Exactly. But the whole thing is set up to where I never actually read the actual novel, so I don't know how similar it is. But it's all set up that it's all interviews that the guy is doing with people who fought the war or who have some job afterwards or, were put into a position of power in the government, because all the other people had already died and, they kind of had to take over. And the whole interview is being done after they have already ended the war. So this is kind of the history that he's putting together for the next generation that comes after these people. It was good. It was really good. You should check that out. The best thing ever done with audiobooks, ever, is the episode of Metalocalypse where Nathan is paid to do an audiobook of Shakespeare. And he wants to get through it all in one take, and he's got no voice by the time he's done. But he asked Pickles to do the recording of it, and Pickles is drunk off his ass and doesn't realize he never hit the record button. Did you ever see that one?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, that's so great.
So I was mixed up. The one with Joe Abercrombie, that's the first Law trilogy.
Oh, okay.
And the King Killer Chronicles is a different set of books that I've listened to. The guy hasn't released the third one, but I was just looking at it the other day. That's why it came to mind.
Is that how you do the majority of your reading?
Audiobooks? Yeah. Because I would like to read more books, but I get so caught up with work that sometimes I can find the time while doing certain other things at work or to and from work, especially. Just to put something on to try to get more reading done.
Yeah.
Some people don't call it reading. I don't really care what you call it. I'm making it through books that I enjoy.
Yes.
So it works for me.
I would still consider it reading. I mean, not your traditional sense of reading.
Yeah.
But it's still activating the same parts of your brain and all that kind of stuff. Because it's still all, you're being told a narrative story and you're visualizing it,
Yeah, and some voice actors aren't as good, but you're enjoying the story.
Right.
And some people might say like, oh, why are you wasting your time on that when you've already seen it? Like, I'm going through Game of Thrones right now in book form, but I've already seen it.
The book is different than the TV show.
Yeah, and I'm in the first.
And there were a lot of little details that I actually enjoyed learning from the book that you don't know from the show, like that all Targaryens have purple eyes,
Yeah, and it's been so long since I saw the first season that I don't remember a whole lot of description going into the Dothraki. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, when you actually hear how
I liked about their blood riders.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they said in the show.
Not much.
But, I didn't know that when the Call dies, they die with him.
Right.
To ride with him.
Yeah, that's why they're the blood riders.
Yeah. And I also didn't know that if he was killed by someone, they live long enough to avenge him, and then they die.
Yeah.
Willingly.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. They're badass people.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And the Dothraki are based off Vikings, right? No, is it Vikings or is it Indians they're based off?
I'm not exactly sure what he would have based them off of. I mean, you might see both.
It's got to be the Ironborn that are based off Vikings.
Yeah, I'd say more towards them because you you keep what you kill.
Right.
Is their mentality.
Yeah. But yeah, the books have some characters that never made their way into the TV show. And some of them are quite strange. Like, you'll meet the character eventually who's, what is his name? He is basically like the best friend to the little girl who has the scales on her face. Is the daughter of Stannis.
The Onion Knight.
No, not the Onion Knight. So there's another character in the books who is this crazy court jester type guy who seems to be dead because he's kind of the human personification for the drowned god. So that's one of the things in the TV show. They pretty much just focus on the personifications for the Lord of Light and the Night itself with the Night King, right? But in the books, he actually goes into more depth with these sort of human personifications for all these different gods. So you have this crazy, weird guy who's kind of the personification for the drowned god, and seems like he probably did die at one point in time. I can never think of her name, but the Stannis' daughter, in any case.
Yeah.
She actually has a relationship with him, but everybody else just thinks he's just this nut job and wants to stay away from him and are kind of afraid of him, right? So yeah, he's a pretty interesting character.
I like when things don't give you too much detail into something that's a key point. Like that whole Lord of Light seemed to play a pretty big part.
Yeah.
But you don't get a whole lot of detail about it. I wouldn't mind having a little bit more, a little more background, but at the same time, I'm not entirely disappointed that I didn't get all that at a TV show.
Yeah, I am kind of hoping that he does eventually release the rest of the books
before he dies.
Yeah, I'd like to see what he imagined the ending being, because
that's another reason that I'm going through the books.
I can't imagine that the last season of the TV series is where it was actually supposed to end.
Yeah.
That was easily the most disappointing series finale I'd have ever seen in my life.
I think that's everyone's feeling on it.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of another show. I guess if you consider the last season of Scrubs to actually be canon to the show, that one's pretty fucking disappointing. But since they wrapped it up with the final episode in the season before that, and all the actors and directors and producers of the show thought it had ended, I'm not going to count that.
I never watched it.
I watched it only because I have the complete series on DVD and it came in there, and I'm like, I might as well watch these, right?
Bad move.
It had some parts of it that were pretty funny. Like, I can never think of the actor's name, but he's a pretty funny comedian who plays in a lot of the I want to say he's in like Harold and Kumar type shows, you know. I don't think he's actually in Harold and Kumar, but he's, you know, one of those guys that's in a lot of that type of stuff. He's this funny little, you don't even know what he's doing in college type guy that just this little partier drug addict type. And by drug addict, I mean like weed. I don't mean like coke, you know. But he convinces Dr. Kelso to come over to his room, and they're like getting high together or some shit like that. And that whole thing was pretty funny. You know, it had some pretty funny moments in it, but it didn't feel like the same TV show. It only had like 4 of the actors appear in it that were actually in the show prior to that. And then at that, they were pretty much just cameos. Like, I think it was only Turk and Dr. Cox that were in every episode of the final season. Yeah. JD was in like the first 2. The janitor had a 5-second part in the first episode. Dr. Kelso appeared here and there. And then like Carla and Elliot appeared in like 1 episode each. And they kind of explained why they weren't in it, but it didn't work. They changed the setting because they'd given up the lease on the hospital that they had been filming the show in the whole time. So they switched it to being that they were working out of a university and the hospital had burned down instead. And
that was a bad choice.
It just didn't work. They shouldn't have tried continuing it past that point. But
yeah,
Game of Thrones, I would have been much happier had they taken like another year to do the filming of it. And just
the writing?
Made some right choices. Yeah, the writing.
It's really the writing.
Right?
Holy shit.
That being said, there were some good moments in the final season.
The filming was fantastic.
I absolutely
is always great.
love the story. What's his name? Thorgood? Is that his name? The head of the Wildlings, the big guy with the red beard.
Oh.
I think it's Thorgood. I think that's his name.
Not quite, but...
something like that.
Giant's Bane was his last name.
Yeah, Giant's Bane is his last name.
Tormund,
that's it.
Is that it?
That does seem like it. So
He was such a great character.
loved when he was telling the story to all of them about like the giant nursing him.
I love the way that
he thinks that they're going to be so impressed with the fact that he was like drinking from a giant's spoon.
I love the way that he was obsessed with Brienne.
Yeah, I love that.
He wanted her so bad.
Right, and I liked everything they did with the Hound in that season.
I think he was like the best character.
He was. I liked everything they had him do. I thought it was good. I can never remember the other guy's name either. It's a guy that always has the band going over his eye. And
oh, yeah, he was really
He's been brought back to life so many times. I really liked everything they did with him. It was pretty much specifically Jon and Daenerys that were just like horribly out of character through the whole.
The guy with the eye patch, I would love to hear him do an audiobook.
He'd be good at that.
Yeah, his voice was great. It'd be great for narration.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Have you ever listened to any of the Louis L'Amour books that are narrated by Willie Nelson?
No.
As somebody who likes Willie Nelson, I think you should seek some of those out.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. And he's narrating Louis L'Amour, so it's the exact right style, you know? Have you ever read any Louis L'Amour books?
No.
Yeah, it's great. Actually, very, very easy to understand writing, and it doesn't trip itself up with some of the things that Western books do, you know? Like Western books usually try to put themselves so center in that time frame that they forget that they're actually in the Hollywood time frame of that time period instead of the real time period, you know? I say Louis L'Amour doesn't do that. It actually seems like more of a real frontier era than they do in movies.
If I've gone through many Western type books, I'd say that the closest to something like that would have to be oh God, what's this guy's name? The Coen brothers have made movies based off of his stuff.
The guy who made No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, what is that guy's name?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know who you're talking about.
Well, I have that book. Cormac McCarthy.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so probably something like that. All the Pretty Horses had a bit of a Western, had a pretty good Western thing to it. I like that one as well. But that's probably the closest to the Western genre I've touched.
I would definitely recommend, if you're going to start with Louis L'Amour's writing, starting with Education of a Wandering Man.
That name sounds cool.
It's not a Western story. It's not a fiction story at all. It's actually his biography. And it should be made into a movie. It's really good. It tells the story of his youth before he became a writer, how he was this guy who just basically traveled from one part of the United States to another and just kind of kept going and going, but not really knowing what he was seeking. He's just kind of learning everything he could about the land he was born in.
I like that lifestyle.
And it's interesting because he came to Oregon and started working in the timber industry, cutting down these massive trees, right? And then he's hoping to load them onto these ships, and he asks the ship's captain, where are these trees going? The guy's like, well, we're taking them over to this new city called Los Angeles, where they're going to be building these great big huge buildings, right? Called skyscrapers. Because nobody even knew what a skyscraper was at that point, right? And so he asked if he could work on the ship, and works on the ship, taking the logs over to LA. And then once he got there, thought, well, I might as well ask if I can work on these things called skyscrapers. And so he worked on the earliest skyscrapers in Los Angeles when they were made from wood.
That's awesome.
So he literally worked in every single facet of constructing the earliest skyscrapers. He cut down the wood, he took them over on a boat, and then he built them once he was there, right?
That's fantastic. That's a great life.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just one of many stories from this book that you would read if you read it.
Yeah, I haven't delved too hard into biography type things. I've done a little bit, more so maybe like a historic kind of thing, which is somewhat of a biography to a certain extent. But
well, some depending on how historically accurate they are, anyway.
Yeah, one of my favorites was a short book called Blitzed about the Third Reich and Hitler being all coked out.
You told me about that. I want to read that.
That one was fantastic.
And fucked up.
Yeah, man. They're all hopped up on meth the whole damn time, and then Pervitin. That's what they called it. That's what when they made meth, it was called Pervitin.
And I had heard of that name, but I never knew it was a methamphetamine before.
Yeah, they made meth.
Jesus.
And pumped them full of it. That's why they never stopped during the first few years.
I'm amazed that shit didn't kill him back then.
Well, the coolest part was not only the tracking that they did of that, but also the chunks that they could decipher of the doctor's notes, who was the personal doctor of Hitler.
He went crazy today, made his mustache into a comedian's.
I don't think they touched on that too much.
Chaplin did come before him, right?
Like life-wise or fame-wise?
Fame-wise.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think Chaplin was already known when Hitler came out. I wonder if he was actually trying to make himself, like, relatable by giving himself Charlie Chaplin's mustache.
Wouldn't it be funny if that was what happened?
It'd be weird. Did you see the previews for that weird-ass movie that's making everything about the Third Reich into, like, some sort of weird comedy, having Hitler youth camps is some sort of, like, dick? It looks really fucking weird.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it won a bunch of awards, apparently. I saw a preview for it on Hulu the other night, and I'm just like, I don't know that this is something I'd actually want to see, because I actually knew somebody who was, when they were a child, her father was actual, like, SS soldier, and he got killed in the earliest parts of the war, and she got put into a Hitler youth camp. She told me the horrid shit that happened in those.
There's a lot of fucked up
I'm
shit.
like, I'm not sure that it's okay to make a comedy out of this, but...
No, more historic things. Everybody loves fucked up shit.
Yeah, that's true.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's human nature, though, to some degree. Anyway, we've gone way off topic at this point.
Oh, totally.
So, bringing it back to comics.
I guess, well, I mean, we could round it back if you keep some of your stuff open in your comics and you never really give a big explanation. On some things.
For which things?
I don't know, anything. Like, I guess that would be more of a past of some of these characters, you know? You don't reveal too much as to what brought about this thing going on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I personally like that in books.
I do, too. I don't know if I'll ever really... Like, Chronicles of Van Helsing will eventually go over a large part of history. You know, there's a lot of historical things that I want to play with there. And I can with the family that's supposed to date back as far as they're supposed to date back, right? But at the same time, I'm not sure if I want to do anything with World War II just because that's been done so much at this point.
Well played out.
Yeah. Like vampires in World War II are nothing new at this point, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I want to... I don't actually know if I want to do anything with any war. I'm going to be doing a lot of historical things, but the whole thing to me is this fictional family war between, like, the Von Helsings and vampire kind, right?
It could be a sort of thing where they saw it below them. There was nothing for them to get involved.
Well, that's kind of the way that I view it, is like the Von Helsings think of their war against the vampires as being the ultimate importance to all of humanity, right?
Yeah, humanity can kill itself, but as long as they're still on top.
Right. And they're the chosen warriors to fight these vampires, are basically it, right? And the vampires at the same time, I don't like the idea of vampires who want to meddle in human affairs, because my vampires all think that they're above humanity. So I don't see them as trying to meddle, you know, like as long as they keep getting their livestock of humans to suck the blood out of, then that's all that really matters, right?
I think in certain areas, it's fun to have that play of them being in parts of history. but yeah, it is a pretty.
It'll
pretty
be
big
something
idea
I have to
people
delve
use.
into to some degree because the next story in chapter 2 actually takes place after the apartheid.
I mean, what if you even?
So
what if you even did?
I'll have to
like a
mention
prose
the
sort of
apartheid to some degree. With that, I'm not interested in doing prose.
No.
No, I want to do comics and audio dramas. I'd actually be okay with writing a script if it became a movie. But writing prose itself holds no interest to me. When I first wrote Diary of a Dead Man, it was written as a prose story. And I changed it into a script for a comic. So
Well, yeah, doesn't work
I'm
for
not
everybody.
opposed to having my characters published in that way. Or even me doing the publishing of my characters in that way. But I wouldn't be the one to do the writing for it.
I just think for like a bunch of historical stuff, you could easily put it into that sort of type of writing.
I could, but I could easily put it into a comic too.
Yeah, I feel like it just takes so much. You'd be a long box full by the time you could sum it up into a prose novel.
Yeah, and no, because it kind of depends on what you're doing and what is actually necessary.
But I mean, I do also like the little bits of description that you get inside a book.
Mm-hmm.
Or comics, they don't leave it open to the imagination, but at the same time, it's not all just like extremely laid out there.
Right. Well, you don't have to leave it extremely. And you can always ask the question and then just let the reader fill it in, you know?
Yeah.
So, in any case, yeah, I'm pretty much just stuck on just doing comic interpretations and things like that. I don't really have any interest in delving into actual prose work.
Yeah, not for everybody.
No.
When it comes to writing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not. Comic-wise, though, has your loose for copy shipped yet?
It shipped. I think it's next week
Okay.
that it arrives.
I should be getting mine next week, too. So, we'll have to start doing the whole, reviewing it as we go thing.
You're going to be like 4 times as far as I get.
That's okay. I'll remember what I read. That's not going to be a problem.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to have any other deals tomorrow. Tomorrow being Cyber
I was wondering,
Monday.
I don't think In-Stock Trades will, but like Lone Star, Things from Another World, some of those places might. I didn't like any of the deals that Things from Another World was offering for Black Friday. Or for Black Friday. And Lone Star had done one and then ended it before Black Friday started. So it was really confusing to me. They did theirs like the week ahead. So I was actually going to order some stuff because they had some comics that I was looking for to fill out runs on sale for $1 a piece. And some stuff that's kind of harder to come across at cons, but, it's not like expensive or rare stuff, just harder to come by. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to buy like 10 or 12 of those, right? But then they ended the deal before Black Friday even started.
Well, there's always Cyber Monday.
Yeah. Things from Another World in previous years has always done like dollar deals. Trade paperbacks for $1 a piece, things like that.
Maybe I should look at that.
And so I always stocked up, but this year they did 20% off on most things, and only a few things were discounted higher than that, and none of it was all that great,
Maybe they would have had some better stuff like in store.
Maybe
on Black Friday. I'm not a Black Friday shopper though.
Neither am I.
I've never gone out for it.
I went out exactly one time because I was asked to go, and I regretted it.
I think about going, but then I'm like, no.
Unless you just need a brand new TV that damn bad, what's the point in it?
I had the only thing that I kind of thought about going to do would maybe to get some new work clothes or a new pair of boots, but I didn't want to have to go deal with it.
You keep your eyes open. They're going to have better deals throughout this month than what they do on Black Friday.
Yeah, and I don't need like a specific kind of boot personally. I'm just looking for something waterproof.
Right.
My work boots right over there. I think they're hunting boots, but to me, they're solid and they're waterproof.
Well, there you go.
That's all that I care about.
And with that weird little,
tangent,
we'll go ahead and end this.
All right.
That's it for this week. This is Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
Thank you for listening.